Okay, so it takes place horrific, but I want people to understand the good people that we do have out there in law enforcement and how they were able to apprehend. But it did come down to the father, close to 3 decades in law enforcement, recognizing his own son, sadly, and having to turn him in because this young man has to be brought to justice. So the layers upon layers of security, what the average person needs to know, where we are sitting right now, there are multiple cameras. Everywhere you go, just about every home now has a security system. So if you're thinking of committing a horrendous act, as we saw, because of you not being able to agree with somebody, you better think again, because you will be caught.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's world, when I go out and I consult with, let's just take schools, for example, because they seem to be soft targets that are slowly over the years, it's probably this past decade or so, beginning to harden. But what I tell, or what I consult in with many different administrators is you have to take a layered approach, just like we did in the government. You not only have to have the locks and the alarms and the video, but you have to have, now you have to have a school resource officer, or at least you have to have someone there that's vigilant enough to know what the front door should be locked. One of the many different problems or questions I get asked are, how do you prevent this from happening from a left back door by the gymnasium being open? I said, well, you know, you've got to educate the kids, you've got to educate the staff. We find that part of the problem is the staff. They'll put books in the door so they can go out back to their vehicle, whether it's a smoke break, which shouldn't be done, but it's caught on video, or whether it's I forgot something, I have to go out to my vehicle and get it, as opposed to going down the hallways, going back around and get it. Well, I talk about a layered approach. There are systems in place with your alarm system and your video TV, where if a door opens, you can have your pan tilt zoom camera pan over and look at that door. Just because there's a relay in there, it says, hey, look, door's open, camera number 1, spin around and see what's going on. And if that door is open for too long of a period of time, let's just say it's 20 seconds, when we know it should have been swung shut, then the alarm should go off back in the, whoever's monitoring the systems, whether it's back in the administrative office and just a little light comes on, say, hey, look, the door's open. Someone could take a look at the video camera. Oh, look, someone put some books there, or see what's going on. But just little things like that and taking a layered approach to security is can save lives. Can save lives. As you might recollect some time ago, myself, Lou Gentile from CSI, and Paul Postlew from Postlew Architects, we came up with a system to start designing schools. Way back in the 60s, the schools were all designed for just fire suppression systems. It's all about fire. And then we move up to Columbine. We had some shootings up before that, back in the early 2000s. And then we started taking a look at the design of schools. And now we're at the point where we're still not designing them the way we should. You should start focusing on future schools. What if there was a shooter? How do we get the kids out of here? And you have to start kind of designing your architectural blueprints in a way that you can get kids out from someone coming in this direction and still leave. Right now, you typically have one door going into a classroom, and that's it. You've got to rely on locking it. You have, just like the walls here, you have studs and drywall. You don't necessarily have concrete on those interior. So if you end up starting to spray using a weapon, spray through that, you're very likely going to hit someone. Mm-hmm. Well, there's other ways to combat that as well and to harden that infrastructure up as well, which I can go on and on with a lot of different ways to do it. But the point is, these are things that have to be looked at by these soft targets, whether it's a mall or whether it's we had the mall incident, remember that back in McKeesport, gosh, it had to have been about 8 years ago or so, where someone went in there and they shot up. You know, it was a gang thing.
Well, let me close on this note. First, I'm going to give you a chance to have the final word. But you just said a bunch of things that just made me think about a lot of things. First thing that I did notice was the mass exodus when the guns fire was heard in Utah. People were just running in every single direction. So maybe what you're talking about with schools, that exit method, something that we're going to have to look at with these larger venues, like a fire drill, more or less.
Yeah, exiting from the inside of the interior.
Right,
yeah.
right. And the other thing that amazed me, how far we've come with technology, this blanket of law enforcement did an incredible job. They were even going out to residents, homeowners, to check their Ring cameras. I mean, when you think, if you think you're going to get by because of security, or you know every camera at that building that you're going to commit a horrendous crime at, now people all have cameras at their home, so every step you take making your getaway, more times than not, you're being videotaped whether you know it or not. So it's almost, and I would hope that people would take this to heart, don't even think about it, because you're not going to get away with it. You're just not going to get away with it.
No, and that Ring doorbell concept, if I could just take that one step further, Stephen Zappala, DA, Allegheny County,
Right.
He and I had sat down some years ago and we talked about a program, a grant program that he wanted to purchase X number of Ring doorbells and give them to neighborhoods.
I love it.
With some conditions here, you want to help us out when we can and things like that, but it's there to help you and your safety and such. But a program like that where you throw out 200 Ring doorbells in some of these bad neighborhoods is something that other leadership should look into.
All right, talk to the folks. What should you tell the folks about the world that we live in now and how they need to protect themselves? And there are a lot of things happening, and it's sad that we can't just debate, and whether you be whatever political party or whatever your thought process is, and live to debate another day. But what's your message to the folks on how they've got to take care of themselves? And no matter who you are or where you're watching this, I think these words are going to make a whole lot of sense. Go ahead, John.
Well, in the Marine Corps, I was always taught the basics and fundamentals, and that is remain vigilant. Be aware of your surroundings. That's pretty simple right there. If you take a look, if you just take those two things, be vigilant, see something, say something, be aware of your surroundings. A lot of times we're stuck with our iPhones in our hands and we're down. In this particular case, it helped out where someone saw something, they recorded it. Video technology is all over the place today. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from the eyes in the sky, as you mentioned earlier. So remain vigilant and see something, say something.
And again, thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie Kirk, his lovely wife, the children, the family, and the thousands upon thousands of people who really saw him as a beacon and a bright light of hope. And sadly, that chunk of a bright light of hope was taken from us, but somehow, some way, we will persevere, and his message will live on through many people for many generations to come. But we must learn to debate, to live to debate another day. Much more this weekend with me on the radio. It's your Pratt Pack from the Club at Shadow Lakes with my buddy John Hudson. And again, continuing coverage right now, KDKA 100.1 FM, AM 1020. Also the Odyssey app, download it, get it on your phone, AUDACY, or subscribe to our YouTube channel along with our colleagues at CBS Radio News.